What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend. And as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. I know I, for one, am because fake spring has hit New York. And if you know me, you know that I live for this little glimpse of spring and sunshine coming into New York every single year. If you're unfamiliar with the phenomenon that is fake spring, it is this cluster. It's usually like 5. Sometimes we're lucky and it stretches like a week. It's like this little cluster of really just like gorgeous, perfect weather days where it's like 50 to 55 degrees. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It always comes at like the beginning of March. So we are right on track for the fake spring to hit all of us. And it's just such a nice little reminder that like, hey, I know it's freezing cold and it's, we're in the slums of the winter, but spring is coming and it will be here before you know it. And that happens to be this week. I will say we usually do get some type of a cold front or something right after this fake spring does hit us. So I'm preparing for that. I'm not putting my jackets away just yet, but spring is coming, warm weather is coming, and I am so excited. I'm also so excited. We have a great show. We have a very exciting weekend for pop culture this weekend. Obviously, the Oscars. We will talk about everything in the performers that just got released this week in a little bit. But there is a lot on the agenda, so I think the best way to go about this show is just to start it. Let's hop into our Drew releases, our new music releases from last week, and we'll chat about what's coming up this week. We had some big releases last week. First things first, we had Tate McRae's very highly anticipated album, So Close to What. I'm loving it. This album was very, like I said, very highly anticipated. There were a lot of eyes on Tate, and not because of anything she was doing in terms of like dating life. I mean, she's dating the Kid Laroi, but it's not like they were making headlines or anything. Like there wasn't really anything around it other than she had this crazy success with her last album, and TikTok really like blew her up, and she was really on this roll with these singles and these music videos and these performances. And so people really were like waiting to see what was next for Tate, like what she was going to do. Some people, they have this high in pop music and then they just fumble so bad. It's like a curse that people get. And I am happy to announce that Tate McRae has not fumbled the bag. I am loving this album. I think it is so much fun. It's just like a solid pop album. Is it changing my life? No. Is it going to go down in history? No. But it is really good. And everybody online who's saying they don't like it just doesn't know how to have fun. It is fun pop music that everybody has been asking for, but as soon as somebody gives it to us, they don't want to take it. It's like never enough. It's like we saw this with Chapel last year. Everybody was like, I want pop stars who are bitchy back. And then as soon as Chapel yells at somebody on the red carpet, they're like, oh, she's so entitled, da 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 da. Tate McRae just handed you fun pop music on a platter, and it's still not enough. But you know what? It's enough for me, and I will have this album on repeat for a while for sure. Some of my favorite tracks from the album are Revolving Door, Blood on My Hands, Means I Care, and Greenlight. The whole album is fantastic. It's really good. If you haven't listened to it, definitely tune into it. Again, it's just fun pop music, something to throw on while you're working, while you're cleaning, at the gym. It's solid. The production is great. She sounds great on it. And we know when she goes on tour and when she does these performances, we know the choreo is going to eat, because one thing about Tate McRae, she's going to dance and she's going to hit every single beat. She's going to hit beats that you didn't even know were there. She is going to hit a beat that is so off the beaten path, quite literally the beat, that you didn't even know she was going to hit it. She is such a performer. So if anything, I am seated for these live performances, and her tour that's coming up later this year is going to be great. If you have not listened to the album yet, definitely go check it out. So Close to What by Tate McRae. And yeah, fabulous release. Just a great way to kind of kick off this segment of the show. Next up, we had Jenny featuring Doechii, Extra L, Extra Large. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. I love it. Anything Doechii touches is gold, and especially when it's going to be as a feature and just like adding her little Doechii-isms to a track. Jenny is such a cool artist. She has such a fun sound, and I've said it before, I loved Blackpink, so seeing her and Lisa, who we'll chat about in a moment as well, just go on these solo endeavors and kind of like have these moments and getting Bruno Mars and doing all of these tracks and whatever. It's really fun to see. But I love this track. I think Doechii's verses are great. I think Jenny did a great job. I'm really excited for Jenny's album Ruby to come out. I'm not sure if there's actually a release date for that, so I apologize if I'm not up on my my music release dates. I got a lot of other things going on up in this mind, but very excited for that. I know she's gonna have like Dua Lipa on it, Kali Uchis, Doechii, obviously, Dominic Fike. She has a lot of solid features on this album, and if they sound anything like this Doechii feature, I am fully sold. Very excited for that album, and I'm loving this release. Next up is a release that I didn't even consider it to come across my desk this year. It was something that I thought was so far-fetched, and it might be showing my age how excited I was for this release, but it is Dev and the Cataracts, Make Your Body Whistle. When I say we are so back, I mean we have never been back as hard as we are now. This track is exactly what I wanted from them. It doesn't sound any different than what they used to do, and that is what I wanted. Dev and the Cataracts had such a unique sound when they would release collabs and when they would work together, and a lot of times when an artist makes a comeback after 14 years, I believe it was, you never know what they're going to do. Are they going to experiment with a new sound? Are they going to do something new? Are they going to completely reinvent themselves? And I think the way that if they released this song in 2008, it would fit in perfectly with the atmosphere of music that was coming out then for them. But releasing it now, it still fits in so perfectly with their sound and kind of fills in a gap that we need within the pop music sphere right now. I love this release. It is so much fun. Also, the Cataracts randomly followed the podcast on Instagram last week. So, hi guys, thanks for following. Come on whenever you want. Maybe we'll do a Dev and the Cataracts podcast episode when their album comes out. Dream big. You never know what's going to happen. We'll talk it into existence. But that being said, loving this release, and it's filling that 2008 type of music hole in my heart that I didn't even know was there, but God, was it there? And it feels so well nourished after this release. And the next release we're going to chat about now, this might be one of the craziest and out of character things I have ever said on this podcast, but I am obsessed with Selena Gomez and Gracie Abrams' new song. And now I'm not saying that to be shady or to be funny or to, be, on a music high horse. But Selena Gomez and Gracie Abrams are not two artists that I am typically counting down the days for a new release from. It's just, they're not my cup of tea. Selena Gomez more than Gracie Abrams, but they're not artists who I am longing for new releases from. However, Call Me When You Break Up is so much fun. It is so good. I love it. I think their voices are really fun together. I think it's a fun beat, and it's just a good pop song. That is what we need in the world right now. We need good quality pop music that is just fun, upbeat. You can put it on, you can dance, you can do a little two-step to it. I love this release, and I think if Selena goes down this route for this album that she's working on with Benny Blanco, I think it'll be something that I'm honestly a lot more tuned into than I usually would be for Selena Gomez release. So I'm very excited. Like I said last week, and I said it. I was I heard this clip. I am very excited to see what is in store, and I'm going to be a man on my word. I am very impressed with what Selena Gomez put together for this track. Fabulous. Never thought I would, didn't think I would be talking so highly about a Selena Gomez and Gracie Abrams song. But that being said, and the next and final release that we're going to chat about is Coco Jones' Taste. Now, this track is so phenomenal. I need you all, not right now, don't pause and leave, continue the show. Once this show is over, go listen to this track if you have not yet, because it is fantastic. The vocals, the productions, the fact that she samples Britney Spears. I love the fact that we're in this era where the new pop girls are sampling Britney. We had Charli do it last year. We have Coco doing it now. I think what we need in the world to just heal and continue as a human race is more Britney Spears recognition in pop music. That's not just I listened to Britney growing up. No. Sample her in your track. Let's get her some coin, get her some funds, and put her music in your music because it's such quality pop music. And nobody will ever forget about Britney Spears, obviously. But I'm we need to keep this Britney, this Britney flame alive because I don't know if ever or when we're gonna get a new Britney album. So the least that the pop girls can do is pay their dues and sample her in their music. However, this Coco Jones song, with or without the Britney sample, is fantastic. I'm really, really excited for her new album. It's called Why Not More? And I can't wait. I think her voice is just phenomenal. It's so soothing, just such a powerful voice. And I cannot wait for this album. So that wraps up our releases from last week. Coming up this week, still don't know when Chapel is releasing The Giver. She's been releasing more vinyls for it, releasing more billboards. We will chat about it when it comes out. We have no release date yet, but hopefully it's soon. I'm not even going to get into... we're just going to keep moving on. Next up was a release that I actually thought was coming out last week. So imagine my surprise when I opened up my Apple Music and Rebecca Black's Salvation wasn't there. Totally my bad. I mixed that up. So we have our album coming out this week. Officially, I have double checked, triple checked. We are getting it this weekend. Finally, I cannot wait for that. We also have Lizzo releasing Love in Real Life, which we talked about last week, but I wasn't sure what LIRL stood for. We got a little teaser. We're getting a music video. We're getting the single. I cannot wait for this release. We'll talk about that next week. We also have Lisa from Blackpink releasing her album Alter Ego, which I'm very excited about. Cynthia Erivo is releasing a single called Replay, which obviously I am completely sat for, cannot wait for that. And then the next one was a release that I could not have seen coming. Halsey is dropping a new single called Safe Word. And after Halsey released her album last year, and I figured we wouldn't get any new music from her until the end of this era, but she is doing her own thing, which is kind of how Halsey always operates, just kind of in her own little lane. So we're getting a new single from Halsey on Friday. Very excited. It looks very kinky. I mean, it's called Safe Word. She's in some bondage in the teaser. So very excited for that. And I loved her album that came out last year, The Great Impersonator. So I'm curious if this sound is going to tie into that. That album really experimented with so many different genres and sounds that, it's hard to say if this is going to be a continuation of that album or just something that stands alone. Very excited for new Halsey, and that is all of the releases on my radar for next week. And now, before we hop into the moments from the week that were too pop to handle, I just want to remind you guys that it is free to leave a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Music. It really is the best way to help the show. I know every podcast you listen to says it, but there really is no better way to help the show. And like I said, it costs $0. So why not help the show? Go throw me a 5-star rating on Spotify, on Apple. If you're watching us on YouTube, hey, make sure you go ahead and hit like, hit subscribe, drop a comment, hit the little bell so you get notified. Let's spread the love of Too Pop to Handle, let's keep this party going. And that's exactly what we're going to do, because it is time for our moments from the week that were just too pop to handle, some pop culture rapid fire, kicking it off with Hunter Schafer, who is making some unfortunate headlines, but I think some important messages have been taken from this video. So if you did not see, Hunter got her passport last week, and when she got it back, the gender on the passport was male. And if you don't know, Hunter is trans. She is transitioned male to female when she was very young and has been female since she was a teenager. And when she got this new passport, her gender marker said male. So she went to TikTok and she posted a video and she said, "I'm sure most of us remember on, I think, the first day of Trump's presidency, he signed an executive order to declare only 2 genders recognized, male and female, assigned at birth. My initial reaction to this is because our president is a lot of talk. I was like, I'll believe it when I see it. And today I saw it on my new passport." Then she went on to show us her passport and how it literally says M. She said she checked female on her application. Everything she has says female and always a has. However, her birth certificate isn't changed. So I think that is where the issue came up. She went on to say, "I was shocked because I just didn't think it was actually going to happen. I want to acknowledge my privilege, not only as a famous celebrity trans woman who is white and thin and can adhere to contemporary beauty standards. I passed and it still happened." She went on to say, "I don't give a fuck that they put an M on my passport. It doesn't change really anything about me or my transness. However, it does make life a little harder. Personally, I haven't tested it out yet. I'll find out next week when I have to travel abroad with my new passport, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come with a lot of having to out myself to Border Patrol agents and that whole gig much more often than I would rather do or is really necessary. And this is just my personal circumstance, and thinking about the other trans women who this might also be happening to, or other trans people, the list only gets longer as far as the intricacies that come along with the difficulty that this brings into real life shit." And this is just, it's heartbreaking. We have fought so long, so many years, and so many battles, and so many bills passed, and there was so much movement in the right direction for the queer community, more importantly, the trans community. And to see that anybody can get this, just their gender completely stripped from them, essentially, because some asshole who is now voted in as the president is making all of these rules, it's heartbreaking. And just like Hunter said, now these people are going to have to out themselves at Border Patrol every single time they travel, which in a perfect world this isn't a situation. You're not having an issue where your gender that you identify with isn't on your passport or your license, and there isn't some conversation around how you identify, because it literally couldn't affect people less. It just drives me nuts. But like Hunter said, like they are going to have to out themselves every single time they travel. And whether, Hunter said, I pass, I am, very visibly a woman, I am female presenting. Who knows if it's going to cause an issue, and who knows what could happen, especially traveling abroad. I assume trans people, queer people, we're doing our research before we go to a country and knowing how they are with the queer community and, things like that. So I'm assuming Hunter's not traveling anywhere that isn't accepting to trans people or queer people. But regardless, it's an extra hassle and an extra thing you have to worry about. Going to the airport is already a hassle. No matter how you identify, no matter who you are, straight, trans, like it doesn't matter. The airport is such a headache for all people. So to have an extra stress put on to anyone and just to like completely strip them of their identity. And like I said, Hunter has been trans since she was a teenager. Like this is not something that is new to her. She has been fully transitioned before she was even in the public eye. So for, like you said, she's very privileged to be a thin, famous white trans woman. Like she is passing. Hopefully it's not as big of an issue as it could be for her, for some people. But regardless of how you look or how you identify, this is just such a crazy thing and a crazy reality that is like slowly setting in. We already saw all of the .gov websites take all of the trans information off of their website, all of the the TSA. Even on Stonewall, on the National Monument for Stonewall, since it is a government like recognized monument and park, they literally changed LGBTQ, to just LGB, which is just like, it's fucking Stonewall. Literally, hello? Like we are quite literally losing ancient texts, and it is just so sad. And yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. And it's just a reminder to, show up and vote, show up and protest when you can, donate, educate yourself, reach out. There's actually, if you're in New York, the Stonewall Foundation is actually opening and looking for new people to join their board, I believe it is, or just like their group that kind of helps push Stonewall forward and, educate people. So I was actually looking into it and considering joining. They had a meeting, I believe it's this week or next week. It's all on their Instagram, but regardless, just any way you can find a space in your community to either have people to lean on or to help and make your voice heard is so important now more than ever for the next 4 years. And with that, we're going to push the politics to the side because, like I always say this is not a political podcast, and then we start talking about politics, but I just feel like if I'm not talking about things like this, it seems so arrogant and ignorant. This is such a bigger picture deal. And I'm like, if the least I can do is come on this little podcast and talk into my little camera, my microphone about Hunter Schafer and her passport issues that are obviously painting a bigger picture, I guess that's what we're going to do. But that being said, let's move on to a topic that I will always love to talk about, Beyoncé. What a fucking transition. Anywho, Beyoncé. It is just, everything is coming up Beyoncé. So she released part 2 of her Levi's collab. If you remember a few months ago, part 1 came out. It's part of their Reimagined series. And the first one was that laundrette ad. So she recreated the ad from 1985. This time we got part 2. It's called Pool Hall. And she is reimagining the series from 1991. The original commercial featured Should I Stay or Should I Go? This is continuing with the Levi's jeans, which obviously makes sense. I think all 3 of Beyonce's are going to be reimagined, or however many she does. I'm just assuming there's 3. However many commercials she does is going to be to Levi's jeans because it just makes sense. And she looks damn good in this commercial. My God. I mean, we know Beyonce is beautiful. We know her body is out of control. But like when she leaned over that pool table, I was like, baby girl, what is going on back there? What are we eating? And what is your workout routine? Girl has the curves in all the right places. This is also very reminiscent of Cadillac Records, which she played Etta James, 2008 movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I'm sure we've all heard Beyonce sing At Last, but regardless, very reminiscent of that scene in Cadillac Records, reminiscent obviously of the Pool Hall commercial from 1991. She also, with this and this campaign, she said, denim on denim has often been seen through a male lens, so this reimagining campaign, which celebrates the iconic female perspective, is important to me. I look forward to exploring innovative ways for our vision to align in empowering women and honoring their strength. And when I read that, it didn't even dawn on me that the 2 commercials that she'd remade were male-led in the past. So the laundrette one and this one were both male leads, which is fine, obviously, like whatever. But to see her kind of come into this role that was formerly kind of sexualizing these men or like showing them in their Levi's and looking cool at the pool hall. They're like stripping down in the laundromat, and she's coming in and kind of rewriting that script and kind of using her womanhood to empower other women. It's cool. And there's always like a bigger picture and bigger message with Beyonce. And that's what I love about anything Beyonce does. There's always intention behind it. It's never just let me sign this and get a quick check. Like, this is thought out. This is intentional. It makes sense with Levi's and the denim and everything. And like everything she's doing with Kelby Carter and Renaissance and Act 3, whenever that all comes out, with just like reclaiming the Black community and her reclaiming her womanhood and just, doing all of these things that are kind of pushing the envelope against what the cultural norms are. It's so much fun to watch. And she also is celebrating Cécred turning 1, which again, another very intentional thing that she did. So she did an interview with Beauty Inc., which Beyonce doing an interview, granted, it has been a little more normal the last few years. I'm still always going to gag over Beyonce sitting down and giving a statement for anything, because we went so long without her opening her goddamn mouth that anytime we get an interview with any outlet, I'm going to gag over it. So she talked to Beauty Inc., as I said, about the 1 year of Cécred coming up. And she said that my vision for Cécred had always been to be an inclusive form of excellence, investing in research, science, and testing for all hair types. As a Black founder, there are misconceptions that we only make products for hair like ours. Society has trained us to focus on our differences, and it keeps us in boxes. And I remember when Cécred dropped a year ago, and we were chatting about it on the podcast, and I was saying how, when you think about Beyonce's upbringing and how she started, she was like singing in her mom's hair salon. And this is something so close and true to her heart and her upbringing that it kind of just made sense. And I've seen so many people on TikTok, so many women of color, so many white women, so many people just using Cécred products that, like she said, when there's a Black founder, you kind of assume that it's made for people of color. But she's like, no, that's not the case with my products. My products are for everybody to use. And there's different formulas and different, scientific shit behind each product and things like that. I don't use them, but I mean, I've seen a lot of my followers on TikTok and a lot of people I follow have used it and loved it and gotten great results. So there's clearly a lot of integrity within this brand, but also a lot of just like science-backed research that, like I said, Beyonce isn't just slapping her name on something and putting it out to make a check. There is intention. There is a genuine, she sees like a need for something in whether it's a product or in a message being like told or whatever it may be. And she's not afraid to kind of fill that void, if that makes sense. I also thought this was really cool. The brand has gone on to win 30 awards to date in just its 12 months on the market. Beyonce has said that there's been incredible momentum, and Cécred has also had 16 patent pendings for the technology in the formulas and the packaging. And there's a community of people of all hair types and textures behind it, which, like I just said, I've seen so many people, all different types of hair, all different people, different races and whatever, have been using these products and getting great results from it. So it really does go to show that like this isn't just a celebrity hair brand that, she slapped her name on like we see with so many other people where it's a failed thing. There's a passion, there's a reason, there's a drive behind it. And that's what makes it important and special. And even more special, it is launching in Ulta, which is so exciting. It is actually Ulta's biggest hair care collab they've ever done. It's their biggest deal. It's actually launching on April 6th, which, if you didn't know, is my 30th birthday, so mark it in your calendar. April 6th is both Andrew's birthday and the Cécred drop in Ulta. And this is just so exciting for so many reasons. I mean, first of all, the biggest partnership that they've done with a hair care brand is so exciting and so crazy. But there's also, it's going to reach so many more people. People who shop in stores, people who can now use their Ulta rewards. Maybe they couldn't afford Cécred without some type of reward program. They can now use their Ulta points for it. And that's what they were saying in this article. They were saying, this is the reason we're doing this and we're going to a store like Ulta because so many people of all different walks of life shop at these stores. And that is what this product is for. So they're excited for people to use their Ulta rewards on this, or to, if you get an Ulta gift card for your birthday, now you can go buy Cécred and, really nourish your hair the way that Beyonce and the team want you to. So it's really just kind of showing that they are trying to kind of include everybody, and which is something that the country is not doing right now. But again, not a political podcast. But yeah, just very exciting things. And the last and final exciting thing in the Beyonce world this week is her and Jay-Z will be hosting their annual Oscars party, the Gold Party, this weekend after the award show. This has been a star-studded event every year they've done it. I mean, Reese Witherspoon, Rihanna, like major people are stepping out. Chrissy Teigen, John Legend, like the big wigs are always showing up to this party. Obviously after the Oscars, I mean, the Oscars are the biggest night in Hollywood. They have Vanity Fair. Madonna always throws a party. Elton John usually hosts a gala. And now Beyonce and Jay-Z have kind of dipped their toes into making it an annual thing. The party will be at Chateau Marmont this weekend, where Bar Marmont is, and that is famously, or I guess maybe not so famously, but where Beyonce filmed the I'm That Girl teaser, where we have never seen the visuals, obviously, for Renaissance, but maybe being back at Bar Marmont will give her a little inspiration to drop the fucking visuals, but don't hold your breath. We will probably, we got some time before she drops any of those visuals. But that being said, very excited to see her look. I always think, it wasn't last year, it was a few years ago, she wore that black dress with those big gold embellished shoulders. I think about that dress so often, and I always love to see what people wear to this event because it's so much fun to see everybody just glitzed out in glam and gold. So very excited to see what comes from that. I will be refreshing Beyonce.com for those photos pretty much all night until we get something. And that kind of perfectly leads us into our next little segment. The Oscars are coming up this weekend. Now, of course, we will do a full recap of the show next week. I am very excited, very tuned in, but we found out who will be performing this week. We have some big names, and I'm just going to go ahead and say the biggest name and the one that everybody is really talking about is Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. They will be opening the show with a Wicked medley. It is rumored to be 10 minutes long, but who knows how long it will actually be. I don't care how long it is. I don't care what they perform. Getting the two of them to do a live Wicked performance, oh my God, this is my Super Bowl. This is my Super Bowl. I am so incredibly seated. I cannot wait for this performance. And, it's been rumored for a few weeks. We haven't really known if it was going to happen, if it wasn't. It did kind of make sense that they would open the show. But the way that the awards have been going this year, it hasn't really been favoring Wicked. And let's just call it what it is. So to see them opening the show was, we were like, all right, well, if they open the show, are we going to get an Oscar? Like, are they going to win something? So we will see. Stakes are high. Obviously, if you haven't been able to tell by the title, we're talking SAG Awards in just a little bit. So we'll get into that in just a bit. But I am so excited for this Wicked performance. I might film my reaction, so I will give you guys a little, you'll see a look into how I react to my actual Super Bowl, because I think that is something I want on camera. But we also have very exciting performances from Lisa, Ray, and Doja. They released their new song, Born Again. It was actually the week that I wasn't podcasting, so I haven't even talked about it. Love the song. I think it is so good, and I'm really excited to see them perform. Don't really know where they fit into the Oscars. I might be missing something. Maybe it's for a movie or something, but I don't think it is. It could very well just be promo for Lisa because her album comes out this weekend. So regardless, very excited for this performance. I mean, the three of them are powerhouses, so I'm stoked to see the three of them. And then Queen Latifah will be taking the stage. Don't know what she's performing, don't know what she'll be doing, but regardless, I am sad. Maybe we'll get a little Hairspray moment, who knows? Queen Latifah has a lot of repertoire under her belt, so I am very excited to see what she brings to the stage. And then the final little tidbit of Oscar news is something I did not expect at all. And this was not something I could have predicted if you asked me to. Carla Sofia Gascon, famously the piece of trash who is in Amelia Perez, who was winning all of the awards and then got exposed for transphobic, racist, homophobic, just like evil, nasty tweets, will be attending the Oscars this weekend. And not only will she be attending the Oscars, Netflix is paying for her to attend. So there was a whole report that came out a few weeks ago when all these tweets resurfaced, and Netflix pretty much was like, hey, we are not funding Carla to go to any of these events. We are not going to push her for press. Like she kind of stepped back. And she hasn't been at any of the award shows. She hasn't done any of the press. She bowed out of all like the brunches and the, whatever, all the things going on that everyone's been doing. But she will be at the Oscars. So I'm very curious to see why. And I doubt she'll do any interviews. I doubt she'll do anything big. I think she's going to show up after the red carpet's done, sit in her seat, and then leave. Do we think she's going to win? This is weird. This is something that now that she's going, I'm like, is she taking home lead actress? She is nominated. She's the first trans woman. I wish it was somebody better. Wish it was Hunter Schafer. But I don't know. Very interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. Because on one hand, I understand that she did put her work into this role, and she did to the Academy and to all of these, actors, guilds and whatever, they think Amelia Perez is fantastic. Now, whatever the general public thinks, obviously doesn't matter because it's still getting all of these awards. But on the other hand, there were all of these horrible, horrific, nasty, hateful, just evil tweets that resurfaced from not that long ago. Some of the tweets were 3-4 years old. So like it's almost rewarding that behavior, you know? And why did her team not think to delete that? Like, there's just so many questions I have surrounding the Carla Sofia Garcon of it all. Like, I just don't get it. But I don't know. Netflix is sending her to the Oscars. She will be in attendance. So I guess we will see. It'll be a real slap in the face if she wins. It will be a huge slap in the face, and it will just kind of continue to see this trend in this country this year that like we are rewarding bad behavior. We're rewarding people even when they're the bad guy, you know? Wow, I'm really making this political. Anywho, let's keep this ball rolling. I guess it's going to continue because next we're talking about the NAACP Awards, and then we're going to talk about how much Jane Fonda just completely mothered all over the SAG Awards stage. So I guess buckle up. And because the first thing we're talking about with our next topic is Kamala Harris. I'm just like eating my own words this week. Whatever, it is what it is. The NAACP Awards took place this weekend, and we're going to go through some of the winners, just like the people that we talk about on the show a lot, but I did want to talk about Kamala Harris, and then we'll have one other speech, which I'm sure you know where I'm going with that in just a moment. But Kamala Harris was awarded the Chairman's Award, and she has been part of this organization for years, as she said, and she, you know, it's such an honor, and just watching her up on that stage, speak with such grace, speak with such poise, and you can tell she is just such a fabulous human being, which I mean, I knew that. I've loved her for so long, but just watching everybody in the audience watch her in awe, and really you could tell they were marinating in every single word she was saying. Everybody was locked in, tuned in, and they were just soaking up the messages, everything she was saying, and it almost felt like she was telling us like, hey, we are going to be on a bumpy road, but we're going to be good. We're going to be okay. Like things are going to, they're going to be a little rough. And I think we all know that. And we've all kind of swallowed that, you know, within reality. It is what it is. But seeing her up there, got that award, and just like give that speech and really kind of be in a room where you can tell she is so respected and loved and quite literally like looked up to by so many of the people in that room. It was just such a heartwarming moment and just kind of reminds us of like what could have been. But we're not going to dwell on the past. Very happy to see her up on the stage looking fabulous. I love the black pantsuit. She's one thing about Kamala Harris, she's going to slay. Whether she is losing the presidential election, accepting an award at the NAACP Awards, like she is going to look phenomenal, and I'm going to eat it up every single time. And just diving into a few, we're not going to go through all of them, but just a few of the awards that were given out overnight to celebrate some of the divas who we love so much here at Too Pop to Handle. Kicking it off incredibly strong. Outstanding character voiceover performance went to no other than Blue Ivy Carter for her performance in Mufasa, The Lion King. Outstanding comedy series went to Abbott Elementary. Outstanding actress in the comedy series went to Quinta Brunson. Doechii won Outstanding New Artist. Beyoncé took home Outstanding Female Artist and Outstanding Album. Wicked took home Outstanding Soundtrack or Compilation Album. And I think obviously Kamala is one of the highlights of the night, but I think the real highlight of the night that really just like reminded us that this woman is a force to be reckoned with. Miss Keke Palmer got awarded not only Entertainer of the Year, but also Outstanding Host in a reality show / competition for Password. And her speech when she won Entertainer of the Year, Keke Palmer is the definition of charming. I've said it so many times, and you guys know I love her down. I love her so much, and I admire her strength and her positivity and her charisma and just everything about her. Just so charming. But that speech, she got up there. She said, I think I was going to win because points at Cynthia. I nearly fell out of my fucking chair when I watched it. It was so funny. And you can just tell that she is so appreciative of every single thing she has gotten the last few months, the last year, really the last few years. She's really been on this up and up. And it's so nice to see a celebrity who's so good at being a celebrity. Do you know what I mean? Like she's so relatable, but at the same time, she's still Keke Palmer and she's still up there accepting these major awards. She's being, you know, she's a mother. She's going through a rough time with her baby daddy. Like she's had some hardships. She's gone through her shit. And even think about all of the press that she was doing before One of Them Days came out. And she was really talking about like what it was like being a little girl of color coming up in this kind of crazy space that is the entertainment industry. Like, she's definitely had her fair share of hard troubles and, her hard times, but she really just continues to be so charismatic, so positive, so charming, so funny, and just radiates such positivity. I could listen to her read the phone book and it would be, I would buy it. You could literally put it as an audiobook of her reading the dictionary, the phone book, whatever it is, a Chinese food menu. I would buy it. There's something about her and her delivery and her aura and her essence. It's just so, makes me warm and fuzzy inside. And I just love to live in a world where Keke Palmer is on top. And much like Miss Keke Palmer, we are moving on from one event right to the next because she showed up and showed out for the NAACP Awards, and she showed up and showed out on Sunday night at the SAG Awards. So moving into the main topic of the show, our SAG Award recap. So this year it was live streamed on Netflix. I'm really into this new era of Netflix doing these live streams. They're kind of reinventing themselves and becoming this new place for these award shows, for football games. I mean, Beyoncé was just doing the halftime show on Netflix. They're doing these fights and they're doing all of these live reunions. And they've had some hits and misses. There's been a bumpy road for Netflix being a live provider, I guess, if you want to call it. But I feel like they've really worked out all the kinks. They've really found out what they need to do and the capacity in which people will be watching on their servers. And I'm really curious to see like how they kind of progress and how this affects regular network television, award shows and things like that, and what they're going to continue to start to kind of push out as their own live events versus being hosted on a network. But that being said, fabulous night. Everybody showed out. This is kind of like the final stretch before the Oscars. It's like when you're running a marathon, it's like award season is the marathon, and this is your final run before you go for the big marathon. And this was that for, these movie stars, TV stars. And I just thought the whole show was fabulous. Kristen Bell was the host. I thought she did a wonderful job. She's getting rave reviews for her opening monologue, her little "Do you want to build a snowman" play on "Do you want to be an actor?" People were raving about it online. Everybody's writing such great reviews. And this is her second time hosting this award show. She did it back in 2018, and now she is back. What is that? 7 years later. So there's been some time between, but happy to see her back. I feel like she's someone who kind of comes in and out of the spotlight as she wishes. She just did her Netflix show. Oh, that actually makes sense. She just starred in, oh my God, what was that Netflix show? The podcast show. What was it called? Completely slipping my mind, but she was just in that, and now she's hosting the show on Netflix, so there's the connection there. However, thought this was wonderful, and like I said, she kind of steps in and out of the spotlight as she wishes. I mean, that Frozen money is going to last her the rest of her damn life, and I have this realization every few months where I'm like, the same person who voiced Gossip Girl is the same person who voices Anna in Frozen. That is so crazy to me, and I feel like we just don't talk about the versatility of Kristen Bell, and not only her acting skills, but her voice acting skills. Like, she truly was the voice of a generation, not once, but twice. First up with Gossip Girl, and second with Anna from Frozen. Like, she just has her foot in that door and is raising generation after generation, all while still being like a wife and having a career and doing all of these things. She is just fabulous. Like I said, I thought she did a fabulous job. It was so much fun to see her reuniting with so many of her co-stars. I thought it was really, really well done. She had Leighton Meester, obviously tying in Gossip Girl, her and Jason Segel, forgetting Sarah Marshall. It was really fun to see her kind of lean into all of her past projects and give us these little fun reunions over the weekend. And then also remind us like, oh, don't forget, like, I was this bitch, I was this bitch, I was this bitch, I was this bitch. Like, her resume is stacked. And again, I just think she's so charismatic. She has such a ray of sunshine, lighthearted approach to things. And I love seeing her hosting the show. And similar to what I was saying with Nikki Glaser when she hosted the Golden Globes, I think we're in this era where women need to be hosting award shows, period. Megan Thee Stallion just did the VMAs, fabulous. Like I said, Nikki Glaser, out of the park. She was phenomenal. And now Kristen Bell doing this. I think we can start to phase out these male hosts and just kind of fully go in with the women. Let's get Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Molly Shannon. Let's get the SNL 50 girls up in there. Like, I think there is a lot more space for these women to come into these hosting gigs. And I'm hoping this is kind of the transition in, because not that he did a bad job, but like, I don't really remember anything Trevor Noah did at the Grammys. And I am still thinking about Popular at the Golden Globes that Nikki Glaser did earlier last month. Like, there's just a different, imprint that it makes when it is a woman up there doing her damn thing. And I love to see it. But that being said, let's get into the awards from the night. We're going to run through. There's only 13 awards given out. So we're going to go through all of the awards, all of the recipients, and we'll chit chat about some of the recipients as we go. Some of them I'll just mention, give them their flowers, keep it pushing. But starting us off, we have Outstanding Cast. The big award of the night went to Conclave, which, I mean, a win for Stanley Tucci is a win for me, so I'll take it. Next up, we had Actor in a Lead Role going to Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, which I think was definitely out of left field. Not that he doesn't deserve it. Obviously, I feel like I always preface what I say when I'm like, wow, I didn't expect them to win that award. And it's never a shade. It's just like, with the era of award season that we're in, and I keep saying it, like, there's no clean sweeps. It's really anybody's game every time they show up to these award shows, with the BAFTAs, the Golden Globes. Like, all of these award shows, we're really seeing such kind of shifts in some of the awards. So to see Timothée Chalamet get this award, congrats. And it kind of makes us wonder, like, is this going to put him at a higher stake for an Oscar next weekend? Also to note, Kylie was not at this award show, which she has been at pretty much all of these things with him the past few weeks. She's been at, like, when he does the press tours and the conversations with before the movies and things like that. She'd really been showing up for him. However, she did have her hairdresser Jesus pass away over the weekend, which is really heartbreaking. If you're in like the pop culture space, I'm sure you've seen his work before. He did like Katy Perry, Woman's World. He did her hair for that. So many of Kylie's hair. When Kylie dyed her hair pink recently, he did that hair, and he passed away. I believe he was 34 over the weekend, which so heartbreaking. And they worked very closely together, as he did with many celebrities. But him and Kylie were very tight. So I'm sure she was not in the place to show up at an award show that night while she's mourning the loss of not just somebody who she worked with so closely, but a friend. So very sad to hear. He was so young, and he got sick while he was overseas. He was actually with J-Lo in Dubai, and then he came back to LA. He was really, really sick, and he passed over the weekend, just kind of suddenly. So really, really heartbreaking. But a lot of people were like, where is Kylie? Why is she not at this award show? And I was like, well, if we use context clues, you can kind of put two and two together. But his mom was there with him, so that was cute that he won this award that night and was able to his mom was able to witness him win this award, and like I said, this is kind of the final practice run before the Oscar. So again, it kind of leaves us with Timothy top of mind before next week. And I don't know when they submit their ballots for the Oscars. Like, I don't know when they have to submit who they're going to win. Like, I don't think this week they're going to be voting. I don't know how that works. But I am curious. He is kind of now top of mind after this weekend. So we will see. Next up, we had Actress in the Lead Role went to Demi Moore for The Substance, which, I mean, I am so thrilled to see her getting all of this praise after the Golden Globes. She had that whole moment where she was like, this is my first award I've ever won. She's just getting such great praise for everything she's done. She's literally speechless up there on that stage. At the end of her speech, she takes a few seconds and she's like, I don't know what else to say, so I'm just going to say thank you. And when you have a career as long as Demi Moore has, and you finally get the flowers and the recognition that you've kind of been working for your whole life, it's just so incredible to see her finally, have this role and break out into this stardom so many years into her career. And not that she's anywhere near the end of her career, but some people might get discouraged and might not take a role as large as she did with The Substance. And to see her kind of take that lunge and dive into a movie as big as this, I'm really, really excited to see what's next for her. I'm sure the scripts are flowing into her inbox, and I'm really excited to kind of have this Demi Moore renaissance. Next up, we had Actor in a Supporting Role, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain. We had Actress in a Supporting Role, Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. She has been sweeping. She's been the one constant through all of these award shows where she has won Supporting Actress in every single award. She won it at the BAFTA, she won it at SAG, she won it at Golden Globe. So she really is almost a shoo-in for her to win the Oscar, but it's hard to say. You never know where they're going to go. Like I was saying was it last week? Yeah, I think it was last week where Jamie Lee Curtis won pretty much nothing the entire award season, and then she won the Oscar. So it is really hard to say when it is a race like this, but she has won every single I want to say every single supporting actress role that she's been nominated for this award season, if not all of them, the majority of them. So very, it's kind of clear that she will be the Oscar winner, and I will be very surprised if she is not. And then finally, for movies, we had stunt ensemble in a movie went to The Fall Guy, and obviously the elephant in the room with us, the green elephant, if you will, is Wicked winning none of these. They had the most nominations. They had 5 SAG nominations, and they won nothing. And now, of course, you guys know I'm a huge Wicked fan, huge Wizard of Oz fan, like whatever. I don't need to give you the spiel every single fucking week. But I am really shocked to see them getting snubbed week after week after week after week at these award shows. And, they won for ensemble. They won compilation album at the NAACP Awards. Like, they've won things here and there. But to see them really just kind of skating by week after week is crazy. And then they're going to go open the Oscars next week and not that you're performing to win, but I'm just going to be like, are they really not going to win next week? Or are they going to gag us and really, we're not going to expect it. And out of left field, we're going to see Cynthia and Ariana or one or the other win the award. I don't know. Again, we do have next award season for Wicked Part 2, to sweep and to win. So maybe they're holding out for that. It's really crazy. I don't think anybody expected Wicked to be kind of the underdog, and not underdog, just like the black sheep almost in these award seasons. But hey, we're not the Academy. Moving into television, these ones are going to go through a little bit faster. Ensemble in a drama series went to Shogun. They had the Emmy sweep last year. I think they won 18. So this isn't surprising at all. They have a lot of wins at this award show. They swept the Emmys last year, if you guys remember that recap, which good for you guys. Get your flowers, get your praise. Ensemble in a comedy series went to Only Murders in the Building. Selena Gomez was literally speechless, which it was so funny. She was like, we never win, and Steve and Martin aren't even here, so I just have to accept this award by myself. However, Martin Short does have COVID, which is why he wasn't there. Him and Maya Rudolph both got COVID at SNL 50, which, so sad. Hope they're doing well. My real question is, Meryl Streep okay? Does Meryl Streep have COVID? Is she okay? Does she need anything? Can I send her some soup? Does she need some medicine? Does she need some liquid IV, some electrolytes? What does Meryl Streep need? And is she okay? Because that's really where my mind goes. I hear Martin Short has COVID. I'm like, oh no, poor guy. What about Meryl? So if anybody has any updates on the well-being of Miss Streep after her beloved has COVID, let me know, because I'm available and I am willing and ready to send a care package if she does need. On the topic of Martin Short, jumping ahead a bit, but it just, it's a perfect segue. He did win for Best Actor in a Comedy Series, and he made this joke. He was like, I finally win a SAG award, and I can't even be there to accept it, which does kind of suck. But I mean, Only Murders in the Building, it really is a standout show. If you're not watching it, you're missing out. It is so good. So I'm very happy to see them, the cast, see him, just see them finally get, these awards. Like Selena said, we never win. So very excited for them in that retrospect. And then kind of going back a little bit, actor in a drama series, we had Hiroyuki Sanada, excuse me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, from Shogun. Actress in a drama series went to Anna Sawai from Shogun. We had actress in a comedy series going to Jean Smart, my queen. She also was not there. I don't think she has COVID. I think she is safe. But if she's on that level with Meryl Streep, if Meryl Streep and Jean Smart need anything, call me, beat me if you want to reach me. I am ready, available to help them if they need it. But congratulations to Miss Jean Smart. Another one who just kind of rose from the ashes and just, she had a fabulous career, but she's finally getting all of these awards and these recognitions so long into her career. We love to see it, which will kind of tie into the Jane Fonda of it all in just a moment. But going through, just finishing this out, actor in a TV movie or limited series went to Colin Farrell in The Penguin. Actress in a TV movie or limited series went to Jessica Gunning in Baby Reindeer. And stunt ensemble in a TV series went to Shogun. So again, Shogun really leading the pack there. Like I said, they swept at the Emmys. I kind of forgot about Baby Reindeer. They were so highly loved and reviewed and nominated. And I feel this is one of the only ones that really does a TV segment, but I was shocked to see them not more represented, I guess. But everybody, Jessica really was the breakout star from that show and everyone adores her. So I'm happy to see her get the award for this. But then the real showstopper, the real woman of the hour, Jane Fonda and her acceptance speech for the Life Achievement Award. That speech is going to go down in award show history because it was just so fabulous. And now let's remind ourselves, Jane Fonda is not new to this. She is in fact true to this. She has been protesting on the front lines, aligning with all of these like activist groups for years. She was arrested 5 times. Yes, 5 consecutive weeks in a row in 2019 for protesting climate change in 2019. If you have not seen the photo of her, honestly, it's one of my favorite photos in the world. It used to be on my fridge and it was on my wall for a while. It is her getting arrested. I want to say it's her 4th time getting arrested in 2019. She is looking dead in the paparazzi camera, tongue out, crazy eyes, hands above her head in handcuffs. And it is just, it's so iconic. I'll put it in my, on Instagram when I do my episode carousels. I'll put it in there so you guys can see it if you don't know what I'm talking about, but it's one of my favorite photos, honestly, of all time. And it just she is such a cool woman. She is so down. I'm obsessed with her. And she got up on stage and, she said she kind of had this renaissance. Like I said, same with Jean Smart and all of Demi Moore, these women who kind of have this career and then they kind of have this lull and then they come back stronger than ever. She retired at 65 and then came back in her 80s and she's been on top of the world since. I mean, Grace and Frankie, she's been in so many movies. She literally said she was I made my most successful movie when I was in my 80s. She has just been kicking ass, and seeing her get this award and give this speech, there's nobody better in the world. She said, coming up here feels like everyone's saying, go girl, kick ass, which is good because I'm not done yet. She said, it's okay to be a late bloomer as long as you don't miss the flower show. And this is my flower show. She held up her award. And it's just so nice to see a woman celebrate all of these successes so far into her career. And just even as somebody who is 30, I'm 50 years younger than her, and seeing these people, whether it's her, Jean Smart, Demi Moore, any of these, Martin Short getting his first award, there's something inspiring. Maybe it's cheesy and maybe I'm boring you guys to death, but it's really inspiring to watch these actors and actresses win their first awards of any kind or have these renaissances all of these years later, when for so long, our society was nope, after 50, after 60, you're done, you're retiring, and you have no life left. And Jane Fonda is 87 years old, up on the SAG Awards stage, winning a Life Achievement Award. It warms my heart. It makes me so happy. And then the speech just got even better. She said, community means power. Empathy is not weak or woke. And by the way, woke just means you give a damn about other people. And I love that. And that is what I'm saying when I say this speech is going to go down in award show history, because she is this is what we need to hear right now, especially in that room. You can assume a lot of those people are on her side of, history, if you want to say. And for her to get up there and be I've been protesting since the 60s. She was arrested in the 70s. She was with the Black Panthers in the 60s. She has been protesting, marching, being outspoken her entire career, even before she was famous. And it is just to see her continue this fight and not give up. And she's I don't care what's going on, how old I am, what's going on in the world. I'm going to stand for what I believe in and stand for what's right. And that is the exact message that we need in this world. Between her speech on Sunday, Kamala's speech on Saturday, I just feel I am ready to overthrow the government. So watch me get put on a list for this episode. Regardless, I loved this speech. I think Jane Fonda is she's such an icon. She's just somebody to look up to and admire. And it warms my heart. And I just love her. I think we need Jane Fonda in office. How do we get Jane Fonda in office? How do we get Jane Fonda to run for president and just get this country back in shape? Because if they can have a celebrity in office be clowning around in the White House, I think Jane Fonda can come up to bat and just really whip this man and this government into shape. Jane Fonda 2028. You heard it here first. Maybe we'll get Harris Fonda. Could you imagine? Oh, how fabulous would that be? I'm getting ahead of myself. And I'm a dreamer, but it is what it is. All of that being said, we have made it to our TV recap of the episode. It is another day in the workroom, and we are recapping RuPaul's Drag Race, and it is the Rusical, which I love a Rusical episode. As a musical theater gay, it warms my heart. And having the Snatch Game and the Rusical back to back, I don't know if that's a regular thing that they do 2 big hitters so close to each other, but I was God damn, Ru is working these girls. And not only is this a Rusical episode, they are doing the Wicked Wiz of Oz, which is just I could not ask for anything better. To tie these 3 Oz adaptations into one musical on my favorite TV show, this is so Too Pop to Handle coded, and I feel like they did this for me. And whether they did it or not for me, I'm gonna just take it and say it was a win for the Too Pop to Handle community. So this is like a chorus line meets The Wiz, meets The Wizard of Oz, meets Wicked. These girls are auditioning for their roles. I thought it was really fun. It was really creative. It was like a new spin on the Rusical. They always obviously have a little kookiness to it. I mean, Kardashians, when they did, oh my God, what is the airline one? Like they Glamazonian Airlines, like they always have a little fun with it. Madonna, the Rusical, it's always campy, kitschy, silly. But I liked the fact that this was something. They took one beloved musical and tied it into 3 other beloved musicals and had like this giant love child. I thought it was really, really fun. I thought all the girls, for the most part, did a really good job. And I just thought it was, I mean, it's so timely, obviously, with Wicked, but I just think, especially with like RuPaul being such a fan of The Wizard of Oz and Diana Ross being Dorothy in The Wiz and Wicked being like the hottest thing, unless you're, at an award show, but Wicked being the hottest thing to the general public, it was just so perfectly timed. And it's The Wizard of Oz. I'm going to eat it up every single time. So we're going to go through what I thought about each of the girls really quick, or most of the girls, and then we'll get into the runway, as we always do. So let's kick it off. I thought Susie Toot was fabulous. I thought she was so good. I mean, she is very musical theater coded, as she said. I do, again, like I said last week, I think she's going into these weeks very cocky and confident, which isn't necessarily a bad thing all the time. Snatch Game, I do think going into it too cocky is kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Going into the Rusical when you are a musical theater queen, gay, whatever you are, I get it. You're going to be confident. I mean, look at Plasma last season. She was so confident and so sure of she was going to win, and she ended up killing that Rusical. But on the other hand, you look at Jan, who went into it so confident and so cocky, and we got that iconic face crack. However, I do think Susie is really... She's starting to wear these queens a little bit, because every week she's like, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to slay. I'm going to be so great. And she is great. Do not get me wrong. I am not a Susie Toot hater at all. I think she is fabulous. And I've actually had nothing but good thing to say about her up until last week. I do think she kind of went into this swinging a little too hard and didn't hold space, for lack of better words, for what the other queens were going to bring to the table. I thought Jules was so funny, so well done, and it was just such a stupid role. And Jules is so pretty, she has this like glam side to her, but then she really does kind of show us in these acting challenges that she has this funny side to her that she lets out, and when she lets it run, it is so good. I loved her as the Good Witch. I thought Anya was unbelievable as Harlem Dorothy. I mean, that was just written for her. She looked fabulous. She sounded fabulous. She owned the role. She was killing it. It was phenomenal. And actually, I'm going to pivot really quick. I posted a clip from last week's episode or 2 weeks ago, talking about how much I'm loving Anya, and it's getting a lot of traction on TikTok. And a lot of people are saying they're worried that Anya is going to get the Sapphira edit, which I totally understand. However, I don't think that is going to be the case, only because with the Sapphira situation, Sapphira was great all season long. I mean, she was top 2. Nymphia did something so smart that she didn't let everybody know what she was capable of. We didn't know she was good at lip syncing until the finale, because she never had to lip sync. I mean, it was just like every time Nymphia showed us another talent, we were like, oh my God, wait, she has a lot under her belt. And like, I think the girls this season, this is not shade, I do think the girls this season have shown us all of their talents and all of their sides. And I don't see a sneak attack coming up the way that Nymphia did. And I think that, though, I mean, if you listen to last year's recap, I was rooting for Nymphia literally since episode 1. Nymphia walked into the workroom, I said, that is my winner. And I was right. That being said, I don't think there is a queen on this season who is going to pull out a surprise talent the way that Nymphia does. And if someone does, I will eat my words. But I don't think we're going to have a Sapphira edit for Anya, only because, again, I think we know what these queens are good at. We know their strong suits. We know what they bring to the table. And Anya has been succeeding and excelling in so many different challenges that she just really has that winning factor. That's just what I think. Let's get back into this week's episode. But I just wanted to put that out there because I feel like we might have some new listeners this week, which if you are new, hey, welcome to the family. That being said, Anya, fabulous. Sam Starr stole the show. She was unbelievable. I mean, when you're playing Cher, it's hard to not steal the show, but she just embodied it so well. She was so funny. It was wagon wheel which to see, or wagon which would choose, whatever she said. I was cracking up. She was phenomenal. Corey and Lydia, they were They were definitely my least favorite parts of the show. They didn't work together the way that I thought they would. Also, they're officially dating, they announced this week, which love that. Love some workroom love. But I thought because they are so close, obviously, and they were so close even while they were filming, they were going to work a little bit better together and be more of a unit than kind of individuals. And as we'll see later, who one of them is in the bottom two, they just didn't complement each other the way that I thought that they could have. And I thought they really could have not put their pride aside, because they weren't cocky by all means, but I thought they could have really strategized and worked together. I think they thought that their off-screen romance, whatever was brewing in the hotel and what we didn't see on camera, was going to shine through in this challenge. And it just didn't. And I really wanted the two of them to really just put their heads together and just soar as the flying monkeys, fly high for lack of a better word. And they just didn't. However, I will say Acacia Forgot was so boring. Just so incredibly boring. I thought everybody else was good. Lexi, Lana, Arietti, everybody else brought some fun to the show. They weren't outstanding, but they weren't bad. Acacia was just it just fell flat, and she had so much potential, especially being this musically inclined queen. I mean, she was the only one, I'm pretty sure, who did a live song at the talent show this year. And she has a good voice. She's musically inclined. Music is what she kind of came into this competition doing. So for her to get this moment and have the final moment of the show, the final solo, and you were just walking around the stage. I get it was a slow song, but there was no theatrics. There was no drama. And when you're playing Dorothy Gale, I mean, think about The Wizard of Oz. 7 minutes into that movie, she is throwing herself on a bale of hay. When she gets hit in the head with the window, even the way she falls on her bed with her head on her forehead is so dramatic. Dorothy was this kind of hometown little, girl, but she was fucking dramatic. Come on. She smacked a lion in the face upon meeting it, and you brought no drama to Dorothy Gale. It just felt like there could have been more, and that's why she went home. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Going into the runway, Shady Ladies. Susie, I liked this. I thought it was really pretty. It didn't do anything crazy. It wasn't groundbreaking or life-changing. I didn't gasp, but I thought she looked good. I thought she was pretty. It was fine. Jules, I really liked this darker moment for Jules. I thought it was really something out of the box. She's so glam, like I said earlier, and so girly and, Ariana Grande inspired and poppy and da-da-da. I thought this was cool to see her in dark. And I think it's just the name of the game where when you wear black, it's hard to see the details. Even if you know that they're there, it's hard to tell what we're looking at. However, her face, her hair, the dress was gorgeous. You knew, even though you couldn't see it all, you could still tell that it was a gorgeous dress. And Jules just has a really good track record on the runway thus far. So she looked fab. Loved this. Arietti is always going to serve on the runway. I mean, she is just so fantastic at costume design and constructing a garment and knowing her proportions, knowing how to kill a theme. The red and black looked fabulous on her. I loved the curl in her hair. It was just so well done. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. I loved this. Lexi Love gagged these girls so goddamn hard. The gold embellishments, the big hat with the little cane that she took off that looked like it was her parasol, but she fucking put it down and it was a cane. Lexi ate these girls up. Get her on a runway. Get her to Fashion Week. Get her in some editorial shoot. She is bringing what I want to the runway. She's bringing fashion. She's bringing fun. She's bringing innovative. She is fabulous. I was obsessed with this. I need her at Fashion Week next year. I need it biblically. Next up, we had Sam Starr. This was fucking unbelievable. The jewels on it, the structured hair, the way all the gloves and the umbrella, everything matched. This was perfection and it was flawless. It was so good. I loved this look. Next up, we had Lydia. Didn't really know what I was looking at here at first. I kind of was like, it just looked kind of like she had a mosquito net draped around her. But when she kind of walked out, I was like, all right, this is cool. I like it. Lydia's funky. She's cool. She's fun. She does out of the box kind of things. But I did like this. Wasn't anything to write home about, but I thought she looked good. Thought it was fun. Next up, we had Corey. I will never hate a Dorothy Gale reference. And the fact that she was able to tie this runway theme and this look that she brought with the Rusical that was Wizard of Oz inspired, she could not have planned that any better. This was so fun. I loved it. I loved the hair. I thought it looked so good on her. And I was happy to just see her doing something different this week. It was a character. It was a little out of the box, especially after her French tips that she did. Like, I'm like, all right, this is good. I really like this. She looked good. Loved the dress. This was great. Next up, we had Anya Nerve. She is just a ray of sunshine. It was just yellow looked so fabulous on her. She looked great. It's not her best runway she's ever done. Like, it's not like she walked out and I was like, it wasn't like the nails. That was one where I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I was like, oh my God, gorgeous. She looks great. She just looked so vibrant and happy on the runway. She just looked great. And I thought this was a really good look for her this week. Next, we have Acacia Forgot. I did like the stacked wigs. I will say it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was silly. I thought it was a little campy. However, I didn't love the look as a whole. So I loved the wigs, but the rest of the look, I was a little like, could have been better. I don't know. And finally, we have Lana. Similar note to Jules. When you wear black, it's hard to see all the details. However, Lana is just stunning. So I was like, oh, I'm eating it up. I love it. But the garment was pretty. Like what you could see when she turned the corner or when she moved in the light, like it looked really good. And she is a fashion girl. So I know that, the dress was right. The cuts were right. Like she looked great. I loved it. She looked fabulous. The winner of this week's episode is Sam Starr, which by a mile. She knocked the Rusical out of the park, the runway out of the park. She was quite literally a star this week. She was phenomenal. Absolutely deserved this win. I did not expect to like Sam Starr as much as I've been liking Sam Starr. I'm obsessed. I think she is so good. I think she has really shown that she has layers to her. Like they were saying to her on the runway, they were like, you've really let yourself go. And since she's kind of taken this like polished feel off of her, she is just like been such a shining star, just for lack of a better word. Like she has just really flourished by kind of releasing whatever polished pageant girl she has under her belt. She was fabulous. I'm so happy she won this week. She absolutely deserved it. And the bottom two are Corey King and Acacia Forgot, which I do agree with. The song that they're lip syncing to is Wet Dream by Adam Lambert. I did think Acacia taking off the top wig was really funny and I did not expect that. However, her taking her shoes off and Corey's wig falling off, I do have a problem with, because why is this the second wig to fall off on the main stage of RuPaul's Drag Race season 17? Why is your wig not glued down? Why are you taking your shoes off? What? It drives me crazy. Why are we not gluing our wigs down? Why are we not wearing shoes that we can lip sync in? These are things that like Ru has said in the past that like not a fan of. Like Ru does not like when a shoe comes off or when, you're taking yourself out of the illusion at that point. And I think Ru has gotten a little softer with the critiques in that sense, where like if a wig falls off and it's done funny, like when Lana did it, it's funny. When Jules, her boob popped out while she was performing this week in the Rusical. It was funny though, when it played into the character, where if it was like on a runway or a lip sync a few seasons ago, that would have been an immediate chop. And I just am like, we need to like, as funny as it can be, and like it kind of adds like that comedic timing when it's done right. When it's not done right, i.e. Corey King, i.e. Acacia Forgot, we need to reel it in and kind of button it up a little bit. But that being said, they lip sync, they do their thing, and Acacia Forgot goes home. I'm not being a hater. It's time. Acacia had her run. She did her thing. She was like, I think she lost the first episode. Yeah, she lost the talent show, and she made it pretty far considering. So she had a good run. She did her thing, but it was time for her to go. So Acacia Forgot goes home, and we officially have a top 9. So we were really coming down. I feel like top 6 is when it really like buckles down, and we're like, oh shit. Now it's getting real. So we're only 3 weeks away from a top 6, which means we are 10 weeks away from the finale. It is coming up very fast. And yeah, we will obviously continue recapping it every single week. And moving into our next TV show that we're recapping, the final part of the TV recap this week is the Traitors. Holy shit. This week's episode was insane from start to finish. As I said, I had a feeling they weren't going to recruit anyone. They were going to kill someone, and I was correct with Sam, which was that production error in the preview. So that was correct. So that theory kind of came true there. I knew they weren't going to recruit somebody. They are just, the two of them are too self-absorbed, as we saw in this episode, that they were not bringing somebody in unless it was Brittany. And now, spoiler, we will probably see Brittany in the turret next week or this week. First and foremost, seeing Kate and Parvati back on the screen, just there to like comment on what they're doing and, you know, just be there to sit on a throne and look great. Obsessed. I loved it. I need a TV show, the two of them just doing like Trixie and Katya do, like Queens Watch, Queens React. I need the two of them on a show just talking, a podcast, if you will, something. The two of them have a fun little charisma, and I loved having them back on the screen. Danielle quite literally walked Carolyn into her elimination, and you know what? She's getting a lot of shit online for it. And I understand people are upset. I loved Carolyn as well. I thought she was such a smart player and so good at the game. But Danielle is playing a really, really good game. No matter how you want to say it, no matter how you want to spin it, Danielle is playing this game exactly how it's meant to be played. It is called Traitors. They are supposed to betray each other. Danielle is killing the competition, dare I say, murdering the competition. And I get it, everybody's upset that Carolyn went home. I understand, so am I. But you cannot sit here and say Danielle is not playing a fantastic game. The way that she literally walked Carolyn into the decisions during that chess game, and she knew exactly what the rest of the group was going to think when Carolyn made those decisions, that was top notch. A+ traitor playing. That was unbelievable. My jaw was on the floor. I was so gagged watching Danielle orchestrate Carolyn's elimination. It was so well done. I will say, her reaction when Carolyn got eliminated was a bit much. It was a bit dramatic, and I do think that might raise some red flags with the rest of the people, because sitting on the floor and shaking like that, it was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I get she's playing into the theatrics and whatever. I was like, maybe reel it in just a bit. You can cry, you can act, oh, I was right, I had it. However, that was a lot. We can all admit it, but I will say she's playing a fantastic game, and I think Brittany would be dumb not to be recruited. I was having this conversation over the weekend with some friends who were saying, what if Brittany comes in and then turns on Danielle and kind of pushes her out? And knowing Danielle and Brittany's history, it could happen. Brittany is the reason Danielle got kicked off Big Brother. And so they've definitely had this betrayal friendship before. However, going into this competition, like seeing them talk at the beginning and saying how they wanted to play this game together, and I feel like they really have a respect and a love for each other. I'm not sure that Brittany would cross her again. I don't know if Brittany would do that to her a second time because of what she did to her the first time on Big Brother. But again, you never know what's going to happen. This is the Traitors. You're supposed to betray each other. So we will see. I would put money on Brittany taking Danielle's recruitment, because I don't think she's going to want to die. She's a gamer. She's not a housewife who's like, afraid to be a traitor. She's like, no, I want to play the game. I want to do it. So I'm sure we will see her in the turret next week. I have pretty much no doubts. I'm 99% sure she will take that invitation. How she plays the game after it, I'm going to go ahead and say the two of them are going to go to the end together. I don't think they're going to turn on each other, but we will see. You never know with these girls. You get in that turret and things get crazy. So we will see. But this season of Traitors, it really has been fabulous. I am loving what I am seeing, and I'm sure that Emmy is sitting warmed up for Alan, for the cast, for everybody, because it has been a standout season. I am loving it. And that wraps up our TV recap of the week, which means we have made it to the final segment of the show. We end every single episode with a yes and a mess of the week. My yes being something I am loving, and my mess being something I am not loving. We always start on a high note, so let's dive into my yes this week. It is no other than Miss Drew Barrymore celebrating her 50th birthday on her show last week. If you did not see, it was just so well done and so cute. And I've talked about how much I adore Drew Barrymore and the Drew Barrymore show, and another woman who we have seen kind of have this career and whatever, and then kind of come into this second. I feel like the Drew Barrymore show was like a second wind for Drew Barrymore. She really had this like second push into the public eye that just skyrocketed her into being everybody's obsessed with her again, which is what I love to see. She is such a gem. And if you have not read her book, Wildflower, it is so good. It is truly phenomenal. I listened to the audiobook as I always do, but so good. If you want to just like a deeper dive into Drew Barrymore and who she is and like her life was crazy growing up. Go listen to or read her book. It was unbelievable. But she celebrated her 50th birthday last week. And just the way that you can tell the entire team on the Drew Barrymore show adores her, the details, the love, the support that she was shown on that episode. One of her favorite bakers had her daughters design 2 different cakes with a message in there for her. Molly Shannon, Rachel Dratch, like all of these people that she has had past relationships, whether it's professional or just friends with. They had Cameron Diaz FaceTime in. Like it was just, you could just tell that she was just so showered with love, and everybody on that set, everybody involved, everybody in the audience was so happy to be there. And it's what we need right now. We all need a little love. We all need some happy, positive content. So it was just such a fun episode to watch. I loved it. I adore Drew Barrymore. I adore everything she stands for. I will always love my Queen Drew. And moving into my mess this week. Now, this is something very personal to me. And if you don't know me off the show or you don't know about my past work experience, you might not know, but I was a Starbucks barista for about 5 years. I was behind that counter, making your coffee, making your frappuccino, slaving away. Honestly, I loved being a barista. It was so much fun. If I could make a livable wage being a Starbucks barista and like work making people coffee every single morning or just at a coffee shop, I would do it. I loved it. It was so much fun. However, the main thing that I hated about being a Starbucks barista was the frappuccinos. And this week, Starbucks announced that they will be taking 14 drinks off of their menu, most of which are frappuccino. So the list includes an iced matcha lemonade, an espresso frappuccino, a cafe vanilla frappuccino, a java chip frappuccino, the white chocolate mocha frappuccino, a chai cream frappuccino, the caramel ribbon crunch cream frappuccino, a double chocolated chip cream frappuccino, the chocolate cookie crumble cream frappuccino, a white chocolate cream frappuccino, a white hot chocolate, royal English breakfast latte, and a honey almond milk flat white. Now, cool, great. Starbucks is taking things off their menu. I don't really drink Starbucks that much anymore, so it doesn't affect me in current day. However, I think all of us past baristas who had to make 14 double chocolate chip frappuccinos for the girls soccer team that would come in after practice once a week when it was slammed during a rush, I think we should all be paid for our trauma and the physical reaction that would come over our bodies when we would see them coming up to the register. And don't even get me started on the secret menu when you would see like a group of teenagers walk up and be like, I saw this drink on the secret menu and can you make it with no recipe? And like, if you had the recipe, sure, whatever, I'll make it. But they would just be like, can you make a cotton candy frappuccino? Can you make a double mocha chocolate, whatever, frappuccino for me? And like, no context, seeing the fact that baristas of the future will not have to deal with making all of these drinks, it pains me a little bit. And I am a little annoyed. I'm a little annoyed because I spent 5 years of my life slaving away, making these goddamn frappuccinos day after day after day after day, covered in all of the syrups, covered in the coffee, in the mocha, in all of it, to make these goddamn frappuccinos. And they are just taking them off the list as if they never existed. I'm annoyed. I'm pissed. I am. And I feel like if any other baristas out there are listening, or if anybody out there knows a barista, just send them this part of the show and see what they say, because I can guarantee you any past barista seeing this news article is livid. And I will leave you with that. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you like what you heard and you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a big thumbs up, drop a comment, hit subscribe. You know all the things to do on YouTube. If you're listening to us as a podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star rating, leave me a review. It really helps the show so much. If you would like some more pop culture moments from the week that were just too pop to handle between episodes, head over to my Substack. It is toopoptohandle.substack.com. I'll have it linked down below. Subscribe to my newsletter. You'll get weekly little extra newsletter tidbits in between episodes, because I know an hour-plus long episode is not enough of Andrew for anybody. If you would like to follow us on social media, we are at Too Pop to Handle across all platforms. If you would like to follow me on my social medias, I am at Andrew Nucatola. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye.